Hello, I'm Rylan Bolin with Dirt Performance. The following is a 2009-2010 Arctic Cat Prowler XTZ skid plate installation video. The tools you'll need for the job are a T30 Torx bit and ratchet, 3/8 socket, an impact driver, or a cordless drill. Either one will work fine. First thing you need to do is unpack your skid plates and make sure that everything made it to you safely. And locate the installation instructions and read through them completely before starting the install. First step is to remove all the plastic skids and the Nerf bars from each side of the Prowler. You can take all the fasteners, discard those with the exception of these 4 bolts per side holding the Nerf bars on. You'll need those later in the installation. First plate we're going to put on is the rear skid plate. You want to put the bent edge towards the front. I also want to put Loctite on each fastener before you put it in. You want to line up the plate with the back of the frame. 2 fasteners at the back of the panel will be put in later after we let the Prowler down. They're just a standard bolt with a lock nut. Once you line those up, all your other holes should line up. Go ahead and finish installing the other 7 fasteners, and we'll move on to the other step. For this step, you may need a friend to help you hold the skid plate and the Nerf bar up at the same time. Just start by putting the screws that I asked you to lay back, come out of the Nerf bars, and hold in. Start them in the bottom hole. With your Nerf bar, be sure the anti-skid tape is on top. Line up the bottom hole on the Nerf bar. Thumb this screw in while holding the skid steady. Get this screw here fastened in. Be sure they just thumb in because the inserts can be stripped out. Go ahead and insert the top bolts. Get them started. And while it's suspended there, take the Loctite, put a drop on each of the bolts holding the Nerf bar on. Go ahead and drive the fasteners on in. Snug. Doesn't have to be exactly tight at the moment. Once you get this side done, with these 4 bolts, move to the other side. We'll move on to the next skid. In this step, we're going to install the long belly skid. Runs up between the 2, ties the 2 side skids together to the back. I've already installed the thread locker on each of the screws. And these 4 holes do not have the holes already from the factory, so you have to drive them in with a self-driller screw. And once those are complete, I left out 4 bolts that you should hang on to, but if you've read the instructions, you should know that by now. Those 4 bolts hold the plastic from the wheel well back to the skid. And this takes the Torx bit, T30, tighten those up. Once you've completed putting these 2 bolts in with the Loctite, move to the other side, and then we'll move on to the next step. For this installation, I've already put the red Loctite on the 6 screws. All you gotta do is line up these embosses with large holes of all 6 across the bottom. Leave these 2 out. Final skid plate. For this panel, the large hose still goes to the top. There's 4 fasteners. I've already put the thread locker on. And the last panel is the front bash plate. Takes 2 fasteners on the bottom, 2 fasteners up the top, which will actually have to be drilled in. These aren't furnished from the factory. I'm going to let this down before I put the last fasteners in. Be a little easier to reach. So we're going to go ahead and set this down, and we'll come back and put the last 2 bolts in the back panel and the lock nuts and these 2 fasteners in. Installation will be complete. Next, I need to drive the last 2 fasteners into the bash plate. This is the final step, and it does require a 7/16 wrench and the 3/8 socket to insert these hex head washer bolts and lock nuts into the back 2 holes of the rear skid plate. We'll insert the bolt in from the bottom, put the nut on the inside of the tube. Installation is now complete. You need to go back and make sure all your fasteners are tight before hitting the trails. Thank you.